Happy August 1st. Today is the new month of August. We just left the month of July, and you might be wondering, why do we call it August? And the reason lies in politics, in the same reason why we have people like Trump renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and Roman mythology. So let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, scholars do disagree, but the one thing that they do agree on is that August was called Sextilus and July was called Quintilus, the 5th and the 6th months of the year. But that raises some suspicion, because that means that August, which is famously the 8th month of the year, would be the 6th month of the year. So there's 2 months that have magically gone missing, and those 2 months are January and February, because they were later additions to the calendar, they think. But how that exactly works is unsure. Some scholars think that is actually used to be the case since Roman, like literally the beginning of the Roman kingdom with Romulus and Remus, that the calendar used to be 360 days divided in 10 weirdly spaced months, and that was the entire calendar of 360 days. Some other scholars believe it was more like 325 days, and that those extra few days used to be like just a winter period, and that only like the military time period when conscripts were able to be drafted were important. What exactly is unsure, but what we do know is that then Julius Caesar, in his Julian calendar, and then his adopted son Augustus Caesar, they changed the calendar. They added the leap year, and they made it to 364 days, I believe. Either way, that perfectly fine. But then they decided that they also wanted a bit of the credit, so they just decided to change the months of Quintilus and Sextilus into July and August to commemorate themselves. As a result, well, they have been commemorated up until this day for that very purpose. And that kind of reminds me personally of, for instance, people like in politics always talk about the importance of names, and it's always when there's a new naming convention, it doesn't really matter in the end whether it's the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of America or whatever, because it's still the same natural phenomenon and geographic feature. But for us people, the naming convention is really important, and that is kind of the interesting thing about August, that it does give us insight into the way that we think politically as humans. There you go.